I'm Corv and Hase Lord Hayes, Gothon Corv. This is the path of the Purgator Animarum. Part 1. Veil of the Vivid. The tale of the one who swept the winds. They did not know her name, not truly. In some places, they called her She of the Still Arch. In others, the Pale Mirror or Lantern Mouth, but always she arrived after the storm of thought had passed, when the air was so thick with unlived lives and unsaid truths that birds stopped singing and children dreamed badly. She came walking, never in haste, never delayed, down roads that no longer remembered where they led. She walked through villages where the laughter was never honest, and the blame passed from father to child like an heirloom of illness. She walked into towns glazed over with polite cruelty, where people spat praises, while gnawing their own tongues bloody. And she swept, not with broom or with rag, but with presence, with the knowing so clean it hurt to be seen by it. No one invited her in. That was the first rule of her kind. The second rule was, do not resist the sweep. People did, of course, always at first. They blamed her for what she revealed. They screamed when the lies came unbuttoned and fell to the floor like spoiled coats. Sometimes, in the middle of market squares, a person would cry out, remembering all at once that they had been cruel to someone who had loved them, that they had chosen safety over truth, that they had lied, and then lied again just to cover the ache. She said little, but when she did, it was this. The world is full of rain that never falls, thunder that never sounds, but I hear it all. I come to untrap the weather. Some collapsed and wept at her feet. Some ran, some tried to laugh, but no one forgot her. And the air, once she passed through, would be clean again, bright enough that even the weakest hearts could make a new choice, should they dare. She was not savior, not seer, not scold. She was the keeper of the vivid lair, the Yanua Lukis, the door of light. And behind her came silence, but not the dangerous kind, the kind that lets the soul remember how to breathe. She had walked through the Ashwind Valley the week before. The children stopped biting their nails. The women stopped apologizing for being alive. The men wept quietly in cellars behind barrels of old bitterness and and came out blinking and clean. It was not well received. Those who fed on confusion, the reverters they were called, had long since made their nests in the rotted eaves of human perception. They liked it best when truth was covered in honey and glass, hard to swallow, easy to bleed from. They did not love the way the air grew still when she entered. They did not love the way her gaze made excuses fall off people like molted skins. They tried to break her vow. Of course they did. That's what they always try first. They whispered in the winds, "She's cruel. She thinks she knows better. She brings pain, not peace." But her vow was carved into something far deeper than skin or sound. It lived in the marrow of her presence. She was the Purgator Animarum. She did not punish. She did not save. She made room for people to face the mirror or not. And so, on the night they sent a false cry, a sound like a wounded soul calling for help, she walked to it, as was her way. That is when the reverters thought they had her. They surrounded her at the crossing of the hollow oaks, beneath the echoing bell of that haunted cry. They swarmed her not with claws, but with accusations. They weaponized the shame of all she'd ever loved and turned it into a chorus. You think you help, but all you do is cause chaos. You should have been gentler. You could have saved them if you had only smiled more, waited longer, held your tongue, played along, made yourself smaller. For a moment, even the wind recoiled, but she stood tall in the middle of that psychic tempest, not hardened, not braced, but empty, not numb, clear. And from that silence, she said only this: truth never bruises, only the lies that were hiding underneath. The reverters broke apart like ash in wind, because she did not come to destroy. She came to cleanse. The hollow oaks bloomed the next day, and the cry, the real one, the soul beneath the false wail, came forward trembling like a child with no name. She knelt, and without speaking, she helped it remember. It happened once, and only once so far, that she was pushed too far. She had gone into a township called Varnell's Hall, where silence had been strangled into submission. The people there smiled too wide, walked too straight, spoke only in chorus. It looked perfect from the outside, but under the surface, the air was rank with unscreamed grief, ungrieved betrayal, and whole generations of swallowed screams. She felt it, before she crossed the threshold. It was backed up badly. The kind of place where every corner held a bargain and every handshake had been forged in a lie. It was so full of unprocessed psychic debris. The layer around it shimmered with mirage and memory ghosts. And when she stepped through the archway to town, the whole place turned on her. At first, gently. The baker offered her a poisoned cake, smiling as if he didn't know. The mayor tried to welcome her with a song full of sweet nothings and psychic booby traps. A small child tried to take her hand, only it wasn't a child at all. Then came the full force. Not teeth, not fists, but waves of compressed shadow. All the things that had been hidden gnarled together into a kind of thought storm, howling through the stratum with the fury of centuries. And she snapped, or so they thought, but it wasn't a break. It was a floodgate. She went into what some would call overdrive. Her form pulsed with unseen geometry. Her voice stopped being words and became decree, not shouted, but thundered from the marrow of her being. Enough. I have been merciful. I have been patient. You will face what you have made. The town convulsed. Some saw their fathers in the sky. Some saw their unborn regrets. Some saw themselves. The true self they had betrayed so long ago. They forgot it was there. They screamed. They tried to run, but their legs remembered too much. The children who were not children dropped their masks and vanished. And just when it looked like even she would collapse from the sheer pressure of what she was clearing, something happened. She fell, not to the ground, but through a veil in the air. She fell out of the layer, past sound, past thought, into the space where souls go when they no longer know how to stay. And then, white-gloved hand, radiant, impossibly calm. It reached across the threshold of life, through boundary between the broken and the reborn, and pulled her back. Not rescued, not saved, retrieved, like a sword withdrawn from the fire, hot but whole. When she returned, she wasn't screaming. She was glowing, not visibly, but eternally luminous, so pure and still it silenced the town. No one questioned her again. Even the reverters watching from the borderlands said, "That one, she's past return now. She belongs to the vow." And from then on, wherever she went, the storm bent slightly before her. Not because they feared her, but because they recognized her. They knew now. She was not crazy. She was called. and she was here for them, whether they could bear it or not.